So I'm briefly going to go over how to use a different index to look up elements in the multi-index container. So right now we have this multi-index container type that we type def to profile table, where each element is of type profile. So the way that we've been looking up these profiles, right? The way we've been looking up is by their account. So we've been looking up profiles by their account, and if you look up here, we created this function called primary key, which has been returning the account as a key. So by default, we've been using the default index on this multi-index, which has been defaulting to this function up here. So that's how we've been looking up the profiles by their account. But now, let's say, what if we wanted to look up profiles by a different property and not by their account? What if we wanted to look up our profiles by the age? So it's easy to do that with a multi-index, because all you can do is create a new index that looks up profiles based on their age. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to create a new key extractor. So so this is where we define what property we want to be looking profiles up by. So what should be the key? Well, in our case, we're using a 64-bit table, so we're going to want to make sure that the key is of size 64-bit. And we're going to call this, we can call this anything, we'll call this one by age. And what we want to do here is we want to return the age. And because we are not modifying any of the member variables, this is constant. So now we have a new key extractor that will get the age. And now we can go down here to our multi-index definition, and we can add another argument here, and we can add in indexed by, and then open this up, and this actually takes in two arguments. The first one being the name of the index that you want to name it. So in our case, we'll just name this age. And then you go down here, and then you'll specify how you're going to look up each profile. So in our case, we're using a constant member function, and this will take three things. This is going to, first thing is going to take the data type, which is profile. And then it'll take the return type, which is uint64. And then finally, we'll give it the function. So here we'll give it the address of the function. So we'll use the profile scope, and then by age. So now we have a new index that's called age, and it will look up profiles by this constant member function by age. So now you have a new way to look up profiles. And to demonstrate this, I'll create a new action up here. So at ABI action, and I'll call this one by age. So we can pass in uint32 type age. So what this will do is just look up profiles by their age, by this age that we specify, and it will just print them all out. So if we can pass in like 40, and then all the profiles that are of age 40, we can now find using this index. So don't forget to put this down here. This is called by age. And then we'll go into the CPP, and we'll do void new app1 by age, I believe. And then this is uint32 type age. And then just to make sure this is working, we'll just go print by age. And then let's just make sure this works. So build EOS.sh new app1, new app1. Up, and there's a T right here again. All right. So now let's see, what do we have here? So let's see what's in our table. New app 1, new app 1, profiles. All right, we got nothing in here. So let's go. Well, let's just make sure this works. So let's push action to new app 1, and then we call this one by age, and then we can give it anything. And then we didn't even give it a permission. So, all right, so there you go, print out. And if you come over here, you can see by age. So there we go. So now what we want to do here is now we want to get profiles by their age. So the first thing that we do is we'll create a or construct a multi-index table, multi-index container for our profiles. So we'll call it profile self. And then what we want to do now is we want to use, instead of this, if we just go ahead and start using this, we use the default index, which looks them up by age or by account. But now we want to use we want to create an age index so that we can look profiles up by their age. So we'll create a new age index, and to do this we can go profile dot, and then we can call get index. And now what you got to pass in here is you got to give it the name of the index you want to use. So in our case, we want to use the age index, and then you go ahead, call that function, and you'll get back an age index. So this is great. So now what we want to do now is we want to use the age index and then find profiles based on an age. So if you come over here and you look at the we have the constant member function. So the constant member function indices provide the same lookup functionality as associative containers. So we can use operators like find, count, lower bound, and upper bound. And one thing we can use here is we can use a lower bound, where if the lower bound, you can pass it an age, and if that age exists, it will return iterator to that profile with that age. But if that age doesn't exist, it will return the next lowest age. So in that case, we have to make sure that not only is that iterator exists, but that iterator's age is the same age that we're passing it in. So to see what that looks like, basically we'll create an iterator, and we'll have this thing pointing to, we'll use age index dot lower bound, and then we'll give it the age. And now we got to make sure that iterator is now pointing to an age that is exactly the same as the age that we passed in. So if that is true, then we can go ahead and we have found that age. So you'll say, you'll have you can say name iterator pointing to account is age years old. So all right, what is this thing over here? Fix this thing. Too many. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now this says, okay, so now we'll go find this age. If this age is here, then we'll get an iterator pointing to that age. If it's not there, we'll get the next lowest age. So now we're gonna get something, as long as there is there profiles in the container. So we'll get something, and then we'll say, okay, is that age the same age that I wanted to? Is this element, or is this element found? And if that element's found, then we'll go ahead and print this out. So now we can go back over here, and we can go build sh new app 1, and I forget if we have any profiles that exist. So let's look. Alright, so we don't have anything. So let's make one. Okay, so let's create one. Let's do EOS push action new app one create, and then let's go Allison, and then my bio, and then let's do 32, and then permission Alice. Okay, there we go. So now we can go EOS get table, table, new app one profiles, and you'll see it in there, profiles. And now we can go ahead, now let's use this by age and see if we can get this account by its age. So we can go EOS push action new app one, and then by age, and then this time let's try 32, and let's give it any permission works. So new app one, and you can see Alice is 32 years old. And if you go to this same output over here, there it is. So nice, that works. So now the problem here is, okay, so what happens if there's multiple people that are 32? What if Bob is 32? What if Haley is 32? So if that's the case, we're only going to get the first one. So what we can do here instead is we can do a for loop here, and instead we can say for as long as the iterator is not the as long as the iterator does not equal the age, the end of the age index, and it's still the correct age, then let's go ahead and go through each element. So this will go through all the elements from where we get the lower bound to the end, as long as the ages match. So now we can go, let's go in here, let's create some other ones here. Let's create let's see, let's make Bob. He will also be he will also be 32, but he will be Bob. And then we'll make one for, who was the other one? Haley, I think, has an account. So let's try. All right, so now we can go ahead and we can take a look at this table here. So now we have 3 profiles, but they all have the same age. So we're gonna have to go ahead and recompile, build eos.sh, new app one. Oh, little typo again. This thing's supposed to be there. All right, and this thing too. Let's actually print out what the iterator is pointing to. All right, no more typos. Let's go. All right, so now let's go ahead and go push action by age, and now let's look up 32. And are you going to put the new app one? Always gets me. So now you can see, you got to come over to this other window here, and you can see, because of the print, I'll show you the \n in the print. So you have Alice is 32, Bob is 32, and Haley is 32. And it gets truncated off on the other EOS command window because of this \n. But if you just look in here, you can see the output from output beginning to output end. So now you can see, now we're printing them all out. So that's good. We got them all. And Now, there's one more thing I want to show you. So let's say we wanted to get a range of ages from like a younger age to an older age. What you could do is we could make another action, new app 1, and let's do range age, where you'll have one age that is younger, and then UN32 older, and we'll go through a range of profiles from this younger to older. So same thing, we do a profile, table, profile. This will be self, and then we've got to go get the age index, which will be profile.get index by the age index. And then we can do, let's do this, we'll do one iterator that points to the beginning, so we'll call this one begin, and this will be age index dot lower bound, and then this will be our younger, and then we'll do a one that goes to end, and this will be our age index dot upper bound, and this will be older. And now what we can do in here is we can just go for each from begin to end, and then we use our good old lambda function again, where in here we can go ahead and take a well, now in here we're going to get the profile directly, so instead of just a pointer to the element, we're going to actually have the element. So we'll go ahead and we can go in here, we can do the same thing, but instead, let's see if we can copy this. Not too much. But instead, we'll go ahead and we'll have p.account directly and p.age. So now we just got to go back and make sure we add a prototype. So add ABI action range age UN32 type younger. And then you just gotta add it in down here. And this is going to be age, range age. Wow. Confusing names. So let's see what we have in the table first. So EOS get table new app 1, new app 1, profiles. And we only have 32, so let's go ahead, let's create some more. EOS push action new app 1 create, and let's make some, let's make who do we have? Alice, Bob, let's see, we had Lauren, and give her an age. Alright, and then let's make one for Sam, where he'll be 45. Up. Alright, and then one more for Zach to round this one off. And let's see if make a bigger one. All right, nice. So now when we go to get the table, you can see we got 32, 40, 45, 50. So now if we go ahead and we go EOS push action new app 1 range age, and then we'll go ahead and do, let's go 32 to 50. So now you come in here, you can see, you can see that we got all the way from 32 up to 45. Because if we went back and looked at the table, we can see we got all the way up and excluded 55. Nice. So you can go ahead and do this again. Let's go 45 to 55 this time, and come and look in here, 45 and 55. So that's how you can create different index or different indexes for the multi-index container.